Alright, today we're going to talk about the main difference between Streamlabs OBS and Streamlabs Desktop. I was tooling around with both of these applications for many hours today, playing certain FPS games, COD, Apex, or even Fortnite. I guess that's not even an FPS game. But what I noticed, to be sure, I'll go into more depth in a little bit, but when I'm streaming on Streamlabs Desktop, my frames drop probably between 30, 40, sometimes even 50 frames. And then when I'm streaming on OBS, I'll probably only lose 10 to 20 frames. And then when I wasn't streaming, I was recording. I started out with Streamlabs Desktop. I only lost maybe 10 frames, 15 frames, depending on what game I was playing, a little more, a little less. And then when I was recording on OBS, I would lose like 40 to 50 frames. And I was messing around with all the settings, and I noticed I got a significant more amount of FPS using Streamlabs Desktop while I was recording. Alright, so we're going to go through some of the settings for recording on Streamlabs Desktop, and then I'm going to take you to Streamlabs OBS in a second and show you settings for streaming on there. And it's honestly not a big deal switching back and forth. When you want to record, just pull up Streamlabs Desktop. And then when you want to stream, just pull up OBS. The main reason is when I'm streaming, I don't like to record at the same time because it lowers my FPS like crazy, and I'm on a single PC, so it really can't handle that. So I'll just switch back and forth. I'll stream for a few hours, and then when I want to record, I'll just record on Streamlabs Desktop. Alright, so right here we're going to start out output. So like I said, Streamlabs Desktop, I don't like to stream with it. I like to use OBS, so we're going to go into the recording because it's way better for recording. And there's honestly not much you have to change. I can't click on these settings, but what I've heard, because I was watching a couple of videos today, so I can't change this, but there'll be a drop-down menu right here. I would avoid the X264 setting unless you're running a dual PC, but this is a single PC video. It takes power and usage straight from your CPU if you're running a single PC, and it will just make your game choppy. You'll lose a crazy amount of FPS, and it's just no bueno. Now, if you're running a GTX graphics card, this is the setting you want to use. And if you're running a RTX, I think you want to be using the same one, but it has new right after the 264 here. You want to keep this CBR. And then I was tooling around with my bitrate, so I was trying to do it on OBS at 20,000, and I lost literally 50 frames trying to record. But for some reason, when I'm recording with 20,000 bitrate on Streamlabs Desktop, my game's crisp. I maybe lose 10, 15 frames, but it's not as bad as the OBS. Don't touch this. This is when you want to be streaming. Just leave that at 0. Preset quality. This also just depends on the type of system you have. I'm running a 3070, and I've noticed that the best preset for me is definitely quality. You can just mess around with that, trial and error. Profile high, cycle visual tuning checked on, and then max B frames at 2. Alright, now moving on to Streamlabs OBS, and this is specifically for streaming. I noticed you get way better frames and way worse frames if you're trying to record using Streamlabs OBS. So you're going to want to go into the settings tab, the stream tab. You're going to want to connect your Twitch, unless you've done that already. Server, auto, and then first you're going to want to go to output, and then go to streaming, obviously. Since I'm not recording on OBS, I can actually click the tabs and show you, but it's kind of the same deal as Streamlabs Desktop. You do not want to run this unless you're maybe doing dual PC. It'll take a lot of CPU usage. I'm surprised because this one doesn't have the NVIDIA NVENC new compared to the desktop. So just go with this if you're on a single PC. You'll get the best frames while streaming. This 1920 by 1080. CBR, bitrate. So I actually learned this today. You can, people say, oh, you have to be a partner to run more than 6,000 bitrate. And that's just not true. And you can actually run this at 8,000. You'll get way crispier stream quality. Keyframe interval, 2 seconds. This I was messing around with. This also just depends on your PC. But if you have a good rig, you could use this one. Decent rig, that one. Not as good, that one. I would just pick between these three, see what your PC can handle. You can do full resolution for this. It won't make that much of a difference. I mean, if your rig can handle it, go full resolution. But you won't notice too much of a difference. Profile high. Psycho visual tuning checked, and then max B frames at 2, and then you're going to want to click apply. So that should be all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know if I miss anything in the comments. I'll have my Twitch in the description below, as well as my TikTok and all my socials. I post daily content, clips, trick shotting, feeding, informational videos like settings, all the good stuff.